Guys, welcome back to my channel. It is Reddit story time. So I'm going to read this story to you and I want your take on this. Okay, the title is very long, but here we go. Lie about having COVID to take 6 weeks off while I do your work for free. Okay, now here's the story. Mid-pandemic, so this is a couple years ago. Mid-pandemic, my boss disappeared. Just as we were gearing up for the most challenging time-intensive project in the past 5 years, he dropped off the face of the earth. We kept working for a week or so without him because everything was virtual and the virtual world was still so new, we didn't really need him in the office. We were delegating tasks ourselves and completing things on our own. We spoke to coworkers maybe twice a week. But some decisions were beyond our discretion, so we could not move forward with certain aspects of the project until we received a response from him. After 7 to 10 total days of silence, we called his boss's boss, who informed our team that our boss had COVID and wasn't able to work right now. We took it at face value, of course, and sent him letters of well wishes and didn't bother him with work stuff, as we also asked ourselves, why did he bother to notify his boss but not us? Nonetheless, 3 weeks go by, still not a word. We're beginning to discuss amongst ourselves whether or not he's dead. We're terrified and horrified and so concerned that we're contemplating calling his extended family. We're sending flowers and care packages to his apartment. Meanwhile, the project has descended into complete chaos because no leader was appointed in our boss's stead. So we were focused in trying to navigate several layers of bureaucracy in order to accomplish most anything at all, whereas in the past, we would have just assigned a real person in real time. Around week 4 or 5, one of the coworkers suggests that he really doesn't have COVID, but instead he's using this as an excuse to take time off. We all jump all over the coworker and ask, how could you insinuate something like that, and lamenting about what a tragedy our boss is probably living through right now. People were chilly to that person after a few days. Week 7. We're undertaking a letter writing campaign to upper management demanding an acting boss be appointed while ours is recovering. The project is a month behind schedule. We're all working overtime every day, sometimes on weekends without extra compensation just to keep up with the cluster that our boss's sudden absence has left us in. Week 8. He finally reappears, logging into a morning meeting as though nothing happened. He looked well rested, well fed, and has a tan. Not all of us, or someone who's just come out of any type of thing for 6 weeks, a respiratory virus nonetheless, looks that well. He says nothing quickly to the effect of, yeah, that was brutal. Glad to be better and glad to be back. Let's go to work. But doesn't want to talk about what happened or answer any of the questions like, were you in the hospital? What was it like? Etc. Fast forward to about 4 or 5 months after this, my sister sends me a promo for a fairly new reality TV show. I'd never heard of it before, but it's on a major platform, and says, isn't this guy a friend of yours or something? I swear I've seen him and you together before. I watched the trailer for this show, and lo and behold, there's my boss, participating as a contestant on a new reality show. It didn't take long after that for me to put the pieces together and realize that he took an extended leave to go on TV that he knew he wouldn't otherwise get during a massive project, and he lied about it under the guise of a vicious disease that nearly all of us had lost a loved one to. I sat and I stewed with this information, unsure of how to handle it. I know confronting him wouldn't get me very far, but I can't just do nothing, right? I'm not close enough with any of my colleagues to discuss this with them or trust them that they wouldn't run off and send an all-company email about it. So I slept on this a few nights, and then the opportunity fell right in my lap. I got an email from corporate encouraging teams still working remotely to plan a virtual social function to keep a collegial culture going and stay in touch. Among the suggestions were a game night, trivia night, and a watch party. With the premiere of the show only a couple of weeks away, I got busy telling everyone how I'd been meaning to get to this new show, and it's so enticing and exciting, basically laying the groundwork to guilt for them into coming to this impromptu virtual watch party off hours. I offered to get special t-shirts made and send them to each person's house, whatever I had to do to get the attention of corporate. Finally, I sent an invite to all my boss's bosses and their other members of the corporate and could justify inviting without making it a total ass of myself, so I invited everyone. Because this was entirely virtual, my boss is unable to overhear any of the chatter. He doesn't realize I'm hurrying this show up, and he doesn't realize that I planned a watch party for it. I wasn't inviting him unless he had the balls to explicitly ask about it. I was hoping he wouldn't have heard about it at all, not until afterwards. That was really the only way that this could work. The night comes and I am screen sharing the show to a whopping 64 people, a huge chunk of my department. Many members of corporate had shown up because I was the only person stupid enough to buy it into the virtual social work party scheme. So it felt pressured and they had to support it. I was holding my breath, hoping that this would go my way, bracing myself for some kind of curveball. But then there wasn't even a dramatic build-up. Right at the outset, they introduced the premise, which included the contestants being a COVID-safe bubble and an exotic location. And that gave the brief overview of each contestant. As my boss was introduced right down to what he did for work, and I could see people register delight and surprise, and then go blank, just before sliding into confusion and rage. The chat took a drastic turn from, "Oh my goodness," and "I knew him," and all sorts of pathetic jokes to brave number of my team members. They sent the message, "Wait, when was this filmed?" My audience dropped from 64 people to 58 people to the mid-30s, and by the time the episode was over, it was just me and 15 core members of the team. One asked if I had already known, but some members of the team were very close to the boss, so all I had to say was, "Well, I definitely do now." And I wrapped up the call pretty quickly after that. Perhaps one of the best bonuses is that you could already tell that from the episode that the character arc in the show assigned to our boss was a bumbling idiot. He had his true colors being shown and it was in full display and some production massaging up, and he was placed up on a high pedestal to the 11th degree. Nonetheless, my boss was fired. My good buddy was promoted into his place. I'm an office legend now. I think that was pretty petty, but it was funny. So in essence, this guy wanted to be on a reality show, and it came at the right time because this was when the pandemic hit, and he wanted to try his luck in the on the show and knew that he wouldn't be able to get an extended leave. So what does he do? He fakes an illness, a very serious illness, in order to get time off with pay. So that's the Reddit story of the day. I heard that story and I just wanted to bring that to you guys. I thought this dude was pressed. He was pressed to get his boss fired. On one hand, I understand it. On the other hand, I'm like, dude, just let it go. It'll work itself out. You know, somebody was going to see it. But this person brought it to the forefront and got his boss fired, where he otherwise may have gotten fired later on down the line. But that's the story. I just wanted to bring that to y'all. I thought that it was hilarious. And let me know what your take on it is. Would you have gone that far? I mean, this dude bought t-shirts. He offered to buy t-shirts for a watch party. He was really pressed. Nonetheless, that's the story. I'm Stingray72. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I'll be bringing you stories like this more and more often. So, to the next video. Peace.